2-minute question. What is your plan for comprehensive immigration reform?
Actually, I'm in favor of I'm sorry, I do that sometimes. I lose track of my head. The people that are here in this country are here for a reason. What Donald Trump has done it's just to divide us and stir up dissension between us. Yeah, there's plenty of room for all of us here, and it's kind of just another way to split us up and make us fight each other. As far as reform, this is something that just gets bounced from, the can gets kicked down the road time after time after time. I think that just for me, if what I would vote for is just across the board, allowing these folks to have a pathway to citizenship, making sure that they're here and that they're safe. I don't have any problem. I don't see, we need immigrants. We need them. There's places I go to in North Dakota where their economy is hurting because they don't have the labor. And there are so many opportunities for people around the world. I think everybody has to be somewhere. Why not here? And I am just embracing and opening welcome any and all people in this country, and certainly will be on the side of legislation where we can get those people here, because everyone deserves to have a good life, and if we have room for them, bring them here.
So first I'd like to address the dreamers in our state whose lives have been jeopardized by this administration. When you talk about moral bankruptcy and a failing of moral leadership, let's just think about our dreamers, 9,000 of them in the state of Indiana, who are contributing more than $500 million to our economy, who were brought here as children and who went to school and got jobs and have done so many wonderful things for our state. So thank you to our dreamers. And we have to do everything we can to pass a Clean Dream Act. I'm very, very concerned that they were trying to do it for nearly a decade and they couldn't get it done. And now here we are with this narrow window of time that's closing. We have to put pressure on this Congress to pass a Clean Dream Act that has a path to comprehensive immigration reform that is so critical. We are a nation of immigrants. We know that. There is absolutely no reason why we can't get this done. But instead of doing those things, what we see right now from this administration is that working people who are out in restaurant work, in agricultural work, working all across this country as immigrants do, are afraid to assert their rights. They're afraid to stand up for themselves because they're afraid they're going to get picked up by ICE and deported. That is crazy. We are so much better than that. And we need to hold this administration accountable, and it is by taking back Congress that we are going to do it.
Yeah, this is something I care about very deeply, and those of you that know me know I've written about it. I've represented a lot of people, a lot of immigrants and refugees that are here in our community. So I'm personally very invested in this, and I know a lot of the folks that are in the Latinx community around, and they've been affected by it in horrendous ways. I've tried to, right after the election, they were basically just going around, they're still doing this, going around scooping people up in the parking lots of their work, the parking lots of their apartment buildings. People that are just hardworking, trying to raise their families, not breaking the law, not violent, not posing any threat to anybody. And we cannot sustain an immigration system like that. I tried to represent a guy from Guatemala that got scooped up by ICE, minding his own business, trying to raise his family here, taken away from his family, moved to a location where nobody spoke his language, moved to Kentucky from Indiana, and then from Kentucky sent to Wisconsin without telling me, his lawyer, without telling his family, then sent from Wisconsin to Phoenix, then to Chicago, and then down to Louisiana, and then eventually back to his home country. And this is somebody that was simply trying to provide for his own family, and they just disappear into a black hole. This happens in our backyard, folks. Lots of people don't know about this stuff. So we don't talk about it. Our communities are too segregated, which is a whole separate problem. But this happens every day, where people are taken away from their families, and they're no longer allowed to provide for their families. And the sole reason that they came here in the first place was to provide for their families. Oftentimes from countries that are failed states. You talk about, well, they should have got here the right way. There is no right way to get here from a failed state, from a corrupt state, from a state where you've got to bribe your way up to do anything, right? From a state that's run by drug cartels. There is no right way to do it. So folks are here and they're just trying to survive, and they're just trying to get by, and they get sucked into the black hole of this immigration detention system that we have. And it's a pitiful shame that we do this to people. Our first step has got to be dismantling that immigration detention center from ground up, tear it apart, then permanent DACA, then path to citizenship. Thank you.